Yeah, that's probably fair. So, Troublesome Battlegrounds returns to the channel, and why not start the comeback with probably the most broken character since the Awakenings update. Now this came basically out of completely nowhere, because I always really liked playing Giorno, but everyone said he was trash, so it was kind of a shame. He was never bad, he was always pretty good, it's just people didn't like to use him. I think it probably had a lot to do with the fact that Fire Mista just felt like a useless ability to a lot of people, and if they said that, they weren't necessarily wrong. It wasn't a great ability by any means, but it also wasn't completely useless. Unfortunately, I guess somebody over at the developer team decided that instead of leaving Giorno being relatively well balanced, they should break him and turn him into a monster that can do 90% of your health in his base form with a true combo. Now, why he's allowed to do this, I have no idea. They programmed the game, not me. But I can tell you about how broken it is, so that way I can get as many people using him as possible, so they can fix it as soon as possible. Ideally, anyway. So without any further ado, let's jump into the moveset, and we'll start talking about Giorno once again. So in all honesty, when it comes to moveset, not much has changed since the last time I talked about Giorno. By all technicalities, all the moves are the same, well, except for Emerging Roots, the new move they added. The first change that I do have to note on though, is that stand M1s were nerfed heavily, which I think is a good change. As for actual moves themselves though, your 1 is a simple barrage that does 0.3 per hit. It's extremely weak, but it's a barrage nonetheless. Your 2 is Life Shot Punch, which deals 13 damage and stuns your opponent for a good while. This move can't be cancelled by getting hit, but it can be blocked. Your 3 is Life Creation, which depending on how long you hold down the key for, has different effects. If you simply tap the key, you'll shoot yourself up onto a tree, and any damage that you take while on the tree is reflected back to the person who gave it. If you hold it down a little bit longer though, you can place down a snake that automatically tracks down and attacks your opponent. Interesting note about the snake that I just learned, it doesn't matter how much longer you hold down the key after you reach the threshold where you can put the snake down. No matter how much longer you hold it, it does not last any longer or do any more damage. So if you are looking to put the snake down, don't hang on until the very last second, it's just going to give you a longer window for you to get punished. Your 4 is the new move, which is Emerging Roots. This is what replaced Fire Mista as your block break. It has quite a long startup, and you can't turn it at all after you've activated the key, so it's not an ideal block break, but it's a block break nonetheless. Your 5 is Fire Mista, which got buffed a hell of a lot. It comes out really fast now, does 15 damage, and stuns your opponent for a quite considerable amount of time. The trade-off is that now you can block it, which is not a bad trade, all things considered. And your last move in base form is Broach Healing. This is a seriously underrated part of Giorno's kit, and it's extremely strong. Each life you have access to 3 healing charges, which are indicated at the bottom right of your screen. Each healing charge can heal you up to 25 health, and at any point during the move, you can press it again to cancel it. Now that I've finished talking about the base, we can move on to the Awakening. As with every other character now in Troublesome Battlegrounds, when you take damage and deal damage, you contribute to your Awakening bar at the top of the screen. And when it maxes out, you hit G and get access to new abilities, as well as heal yourself automatically for an amount of damage that I can't for the life of me remember right now. It's something like 30 or 40 damage. In your Awakening, your barrage goes from being god-awful to one of the best barrages in the game, bumping its damage up to 0.5 per hit. Your Life Shot Punch gains a damage upgrade, as well as the ability to completely ignore blocks. Your Life Creation is replaced with Pebble Flick, a hit scan projectile. Your Rising Roots ability is replaced with Return to Zero, which heals you for... how much does it heal you for? Which heals you for 20 damage, as well as breaks you out of any combo you're in. Fire Mista is replaced with Funny Beatdown. And Broach Healing is replaced with an upgraded version of your Rising Roots from earlier, which is simply bigger and does more damage. Now that I've covered all the moves though, we should jump into B&Bs and talk strategy. So first things first, we gotta talk about the 99% damage true combo that you now get in your base form. Not sure how they managed to break Giorno this bad, but I'll explain it to you right now. If you do 4 M1s, a Life Shot Punch, 4 more M1s, Fire Mista followed immediately by Rising Roots, a dash, 4 M1s, and a barrage, your opponent will have basically no health at all. They'll die to 1 mouse 1. Now realistically speaking, you're not going to be able to start the combo with the 4 starting mouse 1s. In most matches, trying to start combos with mouse 1s is extremely difficult, assuming you're going up against opponents that are competent. So what'll usually happen is you'll just land the Life Shot Punch, 4 M1s, Fire Mista, the Rising Roots, 4 M1s, and a barrage, which still does a ridiculous amount of damage. As for your Requiem B&Bs, this is where some things get a little bit more interesting than last time. I learned some things since the last time I reviewed this character, and one of those is that because of the camera angle switches on your beatdown, that's why your camera is awkwardly centered when you end the beatdown. This can be circumvented by unlocking your camera when you start the beatdown. What this means is things like Life Beam after the beatdown are now 100% true as long as you unlock your camera before you start the beatdown. It also means that if your timing is very, very good, you can do a nifty one-shot combo. While super impractical in actual matches because of latency, if you do 4 M1s, a Life Shot Punch, 4 M1s, unlock your camera, do a beatdown, and then right as the beatdown's ending, mash your dash key, and right as you dash, use your barrage, you can one-shot someone from full HP. The much safer recommendation though is 4 M1s, Life Shot Punch, 4 M1s, unlock camera, use beatdown, and then do the Pebble Flick. The Pebble Flick is guaranteed and requires basically no timing whatsoever. You just mash it and it works. And with doing this, your opponent is very, very close to dead, so it's not really worth the risk in my opinion. But if you are going for style, you can try for the one shot. Obviously, other stuff like Life Shot Punch to Barrage are still true. No need to comment on that. Now to talk actual strategy excluding your B&B combos. The biggest thing that I've learned from TB2 after playing it quite a bit over the last few days is that this game is a turtle game. You do a whole lot of blocking and dodging and avoiding enemy attacks if you want to win. Sure, the worst players are going to run in and mash a lot of buttons, but if you know what you're doing, you're probably going to be doing a lot of blocking and a lot of dodging. This is one of the reasons that Giorno is such a good character. Life Shot Punch is hands down the best whiff punish in the entire game. It's not even close. It comes out extremely fast, can't get canceled by anything, and hands you about 80% of the enemy's HP that is very hard to mess up once you get good at it. A lot of the time, I see Giorno players just throwing away their skills for no reason whatsoever. They'll be in neutral with their opponent, and they'll just chuck out Mista, hoping that it hits. If you do this, you lose a ton of damage in your combo. Don't fault me in the background footage here. This was the first game on for the day, alright? If we get there, I get better. But basically, don't do what I'm doing in the video where I just chuck moves out. It doesn't work and it's stupid. What your Life Shot Punch basically means is if anyone touches your shield with an M1, you can hit them with Life Shot Punch and combo them for hitting you. The other thing that I see that's very, very poorly used by Giorno players is your Life Creation. This move is incredibly good against certain characters and needs to be utilized more. There are a lot of very obvious long wind-up block break attacks in this game and projectiles that you can just reflect the damage back if you use your tree properly. Most characters scream a voice line before they throw their projectile out, so you can just wait at around medium range, wait until you hear the voice line, and pop the tree and make them hurt themselves for using a projectile. The only real struggle point is if you go up against someone who's smart and blocks constantly because they know that your block break is garbage. If your opponent is aware that your block break is trash, they're probably just going to sit there and block knowing that there's basically nothing you can do about it. Sure, you can try to go in and try to use Rising Roots, but a lot of the time they can just move left or right and get out of it. But assuming your opponent is like most players on Troublesome Battlegrounds, they probably hate the block key and don't know what it is, and you'll mop the floor with them. Now another thing that's underrepresented is let's talk Broach Healing. This ability is stupid good. It means that, number one, if you take a stock, you get a free 25 health back no matter what. And the other thing is that if your opponent is playing extremely passive, you have a very good chance of popping this ability and being able to get 5 or 10 HP back and then canceling it so you don't get punished for using it. Just using this to get 5 or 10 health back is absolutely worth it because odds are you're not going to be able to use all 3 charges of your healing in a match, so you might as well use them to get 5 or 10 HP back at a time, which adds up. One last thing on Life Punch, and I think I'll probably be wrapping up strategies, because this character is stupid easy to use and incredibly broken. So if you haven't figured out how to use it yet, I don't really know what to tell you. It's not very difficult. But the thing about Life Shot Punch is that it cancels a lot of the moves in the game that you can block. Simple things like if you block a barrage or something. Because this move cancels it, if you're holding block and the enemy barrages you, just let go of block and immediately use it. You might take 2 or 3 hits from the barrage, but you'll cancel their barrage and then you can combo them for it. As for when you're awakened, use Pebble Flick whenever you have it in order to do free damage, assuming that you're accurate. Return to 0 to escape combos or to heal yourself, depending on the situation. And fish for Life Shot Punch, just like in base, so that you can get Funny Beatdown and combo them with that. It's honestly kind of funny because I feel almost like the base form is better than the Awakening, which is kind of strange. But regardless, that's for conclusions, which I'm going to talk about right now, so let's get to it. So Giorno is mega broken, and I don't think any other character in the game comes even close to as broken as he is right now. It actually boggles my mind how they managed to screw up this bad with the balancing. It feels like YBA levels of balancing, and for troublesome battlegrounds, that's usually not what I expect. It's kind of funny because YBA's recent balancing has been pretty good, all things considered, and the balancing on Giorno is non-existent. I guess they didn't really consider how powerful Fire Mista was going to be as an ability. I suppose nobody on the dev team labbed out the fact that you can use Fire Mista and Rising Roots and still be able to combo the person after they take all that damage. But I'm of the opinion that first of all, no character should be able to do a 90% true damage combo in their base form. That's Awakening kind of stuff, not normal character combos. And honestly, this kind of thing wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't so easy to do it as well. You guarantee yourself your combo off of a Life Shot Punch, which is a move that's incredibly easy to land. And if you do land it, you have a lot of breathing room in order to start the combo. So it's like your opponent makes one mistake, and to capitalize off that one mistake, they lose 80 or 90% of their health guaranteed. That screams awful balancing. It honestly makes me really sad too, because Giorno was my favorite character to play beforehand, and now when I play him, I feel kind of bad, because people in 1v1s are like, wow, that's broken, they need to nerf that. And I can't even argue with them. They're right, it is broken, they do need to nerf this. Honestly, they should probably just switch Fire Mista back to the way it was before. Because even before, you were still able to do kind of similar stuff, it just wasn't nearly as easy as it is right now. I think we've pretty much proven at this point that Fire Mista is way too strong when it's fast, whether it block breaks or not, and it needs to stay slow, otherwise it throws the game balance into the dumpster. Other than that though, Giorno seems fine. I like the new Rising Roots move, and I think the fact that they left pretty much everything else the same is definitely for the best. I'm gonna start rambling though, so I think I better wrap up. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe. If you didn't, don't do those things. Regardless, have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you next time.